All right, so move on to the next side. We're going to pivot over here to the world of wrestling inside the WWE world, and I'll be playing the hypothetical game here. This is a hypothetical game because obviously the streak was broken in 2024. So, for today's hypothetical segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on which WWE wrestlers would have been perfect to attempt to end the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. So I do have a list of different wrestlers for different eras, possibly going after the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak when the streak was intact. And before I even get into the wrestlers, I do believe that the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak should have never been broken, especially to the hands of a made man like the Beast incarnate Brock Lesnar back in 2024. So let's get to the hypothetical game. Wrestler number one would have been Kurt Angle. Now, I think playing the hypothetical game here, Kurt Angle would have been a perfect option to go after the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak at WrestleMania 22. Now, we know how everything played out back in 2006 for the road to WrestleMania for WrestleMania 22 that took place in Chicago, Illinois. We know that Rey Mysterio, after the passing of Eddie Guerrero in 2005, Rey Mysterio won the 2006 Royal Rumble. And we all know that Batista earlier on in the calendar year of January that year had to vacate the World Heavyweight Championship due to injury. We know Kurt Angle won the vacant World Heavyweight Championship, winning a Battle Royal on SmackDown. And if I could get this time back, guys, if I could go back 20 years from now, I would have had Undertaker to somehow, some way, find a way to face Kurt Angle for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 22. And whether that's the Undertaker earning his shot at No Way Out, a SmackDown pay-per-view on the road to WrestleMania, or the Undertaker just winning the Royal Rumble in 2006, I would have made this happen. Can you imagine Kurt Angle defending the World Heavyweight Championship against the Undertaker at WrestleMania 22? That would have been an absolute cinema, because their epic match that they already had in 2006 at No Way Out for the World Heavyweight Championship when Kurt Angle defended the title against The Undertaker, that was an absolute cinema. The fact that Undertaker, at that point of his career, was able to mesh well with Kurt Angle's technical wrestling abilities and have an absolute classic match. I consider that No Way Out match between Kurt Angle and The Undertaker's fifth best match of his illustrious WWE Hall of Fame career. That match had a lot of great spots, good technical wrestling, a lot of near falls. The angle slam that Kurt Angle hit on The Undertaker, putting The Undertaker through the announcer's table. Like, it was a really good match. And honestly, the finish was very creative as well to protect both wrestlers of Kurt Angle and The Undertaker, No Way Out. And it was opening the door for a possible rematch down the line, but we know Kurt Angle got released by the WWE in 2006. The rest is history. But that year at WrestleMania 22, it was pretty mid for both wrestlers, because Kurt Angle defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton. If you're a diehard wrestling fan like me, do you really go back and reminisce on that match that was under 10 minutes? No, unless you're a big Rey Mysterio fan and you were happy for Rey to finally win his first world title in the company. And then you look at The Undertaker, he had a mid-casket match against Mark Henry, another match that was under 10 minutes. So both guys really didn't have an outstanding WrestleMania 22. I would have loved it if we got Kurt Angle in the prime of his career facing The Undertaker when the streak was actually becoming more important to wrestling fans, and the fact that it was an important pivotal moment for The Undertaker year in and year out at WrestleMania. I would have loved to see Kurt Angle, that version of Kurt Angle, go after The Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. Now, next wrestler, John Cena. Now, again, the hypothetical game, John Cena would have been a perfect WrestleMania opponent for The Undertaker, attempting to end The Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. Now, I know we got The Undertaker versus John Cena at WrestleMania 34. I'm not counting that. I mean, yeah, the record books are going to count it, but I'm never going to go back and watch that 2 to 3 minute squash match at WrestleMania 34. And it sucks because there's so many times we could have got John Cena versus The Undertaker in the prime of their careers at WrestleMania, but the time frame just didn't mesh well. And I think it would have been a perfect opportunity for John Cena to go after the streak in the years from 2006 to 2010. I think that would have been a perfect window for John Cena to attempt going after the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak at WrestleMania. It would have been, honestly, would have been awesome. I think 2007 is honestly a debatable conversation. It would have been awesome for John Cena to go after the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak, especially when he had that yearly long reign as the WWE champion. That version of John Cena is the best version of Cena in his WWE career. You could debate me all day long, but as I digress, the Undertaker in 2007, I could see why people wouldn't do that, because the Undertaker did challenge Batista for the World Heavyweight Championship. That match is one of the best matches of their careers, and so is John Cena versus Shawn Michaels, that WWE Championship match. So I get not changing the time frame in 2007. Maybe 2008 for WrestleMania 24, very debatable. Even though John Cena was a part of that triple threat match against Randy Orton and Triple H, hot take, I don't think that match was really that good at WrestleMania 24. But then The Undertaker versus Edge was actually one of the best matches of The Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak, challenging Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship. So looking at the time frame, maybe 2014 would honestly been the perfect time to pull the trigger. Now, again, the timing wasn't really on point because John Cena was feuding with Bray Wyatt at the time, and they had an outstanding feud in 2014. But then you would have saved, if we got Cena versus Taker at WrestleMania 30, would have honestly saved us from the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak being broken by Brock Lesnar. So this is why I love the hypothetical game here. But I think the reason why we never got John Cena actually attempting to end the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak is due to the fact that the brand split was a big factor. And the Ruthless Aggression era, Cena being the face of Raw, and then The Undertaker being one of the biggest stars that SmackDown had at the time. So I get it. Or maybe all along, Cena was protected by Vince McMahon, the face of the company, not wanting to lose against The Undertaker and not end The Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. But man, the only time we ever got an Undertaker versus John Cena feud was like 2003. And that was when we were getting the earlier stages of John Cena and his WWE career. I would have loved to see these guys mix it up in the prime of their careers, but damn, John Cena would have been a perfect wrestler to go after the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. Next wrestler is honestly Seth Rollins. Now, I think Seth Rollins would have been a perfect candidate to go after the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. Now, so why we're playing the hypothetical game, because at this point, the timing was out of the window, because by the time Seth Rollins became his own guy, turned on the Shield, and became a main event star, The Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak was broken. That same year, in 2014, when the Shield broke up for the first time, and Brock Lesnar ended The Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. But if the streak stayed alive for WrestleMania 31, this honestly would have been a perfect time for The Undertaker to go up against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31. The next big thing in the WWE, going after the dead man's undefeated WrestleMania streak, if the streak stayed alive past 2014. Because the story would have been there, because you could have had Seth Rollins. At the time, he was with the authority of Triple H and Kane, two guys that know The Undertaker in and out of the wrestling ring, and two guys that failed to end The Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak over the years. So they could have gave some pointers to Seth Rollins on how to defeat The Undertaker, possibly some build-up with The Undertaker cutting some promos against his brother, kayfabe brother, Kane, and Triple H building up the match. So I think these two guys, Seth Rollins and The Undertaker, would have had a park. And possibly you have The Undertaker defeat Seth Rollins. After Seth Rollins puts up a good fight to end the streak, you still don't change history. You still have the heist of the century with Seth Rollins cashing in the main event of WrestleMania against Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, walking out of WrestleMania 31 with the WWE Championship. So I think, honestly, I'm cooking with grease here, but I think these three wrestlers are pretty good choices. I still got two more to go. The next one would have been Finn Balor. Now, the time frame was honestly impossible, because Finn Balor's first WrestleMania happened in 2018, despite signing with the company in 2015 when he was in NXT. But The Undertaker was at the end of his career by this time frame. Honestly, it would have been cool to see the Demon Finn Balor go up against the dead man, The Undertaker, attempting to end The Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak, or challenge him possibly at WrestleMania 32, with Finn Balor just moving up for one night only for WrestleMania weekend to challenge the dead man, The Undertaker, at WrestleMania 32. I thought that would have been cool. And then obviously the final one is the legend, the icon, the face of WCW, Sting. Now, it's a shame we never got The Undertaker versus Sting ever in a wrestling ring. And I honestly think that's one of the biggest dream cards that were left off the table in wrestling history between one of the faces of, actually you could say two of the faces of the Monday Night Wars, of The Undertaker representing the WWF and Sting representing WCW. So they were just living in two different worlds at the time. And honestly, I do believe the only chance that Sting would have ever jumped the WWE after WCW went out of business was probably 2005, 2006, but that's the time frame that he signed with TNA. So WrestleMania 22 or 23, honestly, were the best time frames to get Sting versus The Undertaker, and WWE attempting, having Sting attempt to end The Undertaker's undefeated streak. That would have been legendary to see Prime Undertaker versus Sting. Now, the closest we ever got to this match was in 2015 and 2016, because if you guys remember, they went with the route of Sting faces Triple H instead at WrestleMania. And then you had The Undertaker, of course, face Bray Wyatt, which I don't have a problem with. The Taker and Wyatt match. And I guess the Sting and Triple H match was fun too. But then WrestleMania 32 was basically your final chance. And the opportunity was there, but then Sting ended his career for a long period of time after the Seth Rollins neck injury or so, inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame, and we never seen Sting in the WWE ever again. Probably never see Sting in the WWE ever again. But those are my thoughts on which wrestlers would have been perfect candidates to attempt to end The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania.